The sentences themselves are ridiculous. You're talking about inciting public unrest, which is, something that the military has just made up. Again, you have her being cited for violating COVID regulations because a rally waved at her. I mean, there was plenty of people campaigning back in November 2020 for election, and it was candidates from all parties. But what we see is selective persecution and selective prosecution. They can't beat her in a democratic election, so they've decided to have a coup and to use a kangaroo court, in a judicial system that has been doing the bidding of the military for more than 5 decades to lock her away. I don't expect that we're ever going to see her again as a politician in Myanmar. I think that they're going to continue to pile charges on her so that she essentially dies in detention. The military junta is trying to rewrite recent history. They are trying to use military force to compel quiescence and complete silence amongst the people of Myanmar. And I think what will result from this just unbelievably bad verdict in this court case will be a surge of anger and defiance from the Myanmar people.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights deeply deplores the conviction and sentencing of Aung San Suu Kyi on these offenses. I mean, the trial was a sham trial by a military-controlled court without due regard for the fair trial obligations of Myanmar. The military is attempting to use any means, including the judiciary, including the courts, to remove all political opposition. However, it's quite impressive that tonight in Myanmar, you are still seeing the banging of pots and pans by people in the country in opposition to the military. This kind of a sentence for Aung San Suu Kyi and the continued detention of political opponents, we believe it will only embolden the resistance against the illegitimate rule of the military. There was an incident in Yangon in one of the townships where security forces used a truck to ram into peaceful protesters, and then they opened fire, live ammunition, on unarmed protesters. Now, this is vicious, utterly reprehensible behavior. And this, coupled with the sentencing of Aung San Suu Kyi, sends a signal that the military is desperate to legitimize its rule, but in fact, it is accomplishing exactly the opposite. It is confirming that it is an illegitimate takeover of Myanmar.
Lu